The purpose of this video is to review the quotation marks unit that we've been studying in the language arts class. So as you can see, we use quotation marks to show the exact words of a speaker. This can be referred to as dialogue in a larger piece of text to show conversations between characters. You'll always see that punctuated with quotation marks in a novel or short story or just a short piece of text. Rules to remember about using quotation marks correctly: always use a comma or other punctuation marks to separate the quotation from the remainder of the sentence. And always remember the tip we studied in class: P for punctuation always comes before Q for quotations in the alphabet. So always P before Q, punctuation, then the quotes. Example would show us that. Quote, who made this delicious candy? Question mark, quote. We can see that the question mark is clearly inside of the quotation mark here. The quote at the beginning as well. Rule 2, a quotation mark quotation may be placed at the beginning or end of a sentence. It may also be divided within the sentence. So an example would look like Lawrence said, comma, quote, let's play checkers, period, quote. That's one at the end of a sentence. And then a broken quote like this one: my brother, quote, comma, quote, said Leslie, comma, quote, bought me this ring, period, quote. Notice how bought in this case is lowercase because it's a continuation of the first part of the quote. The whole quote would have been, my brother bought me this ring. So we have the commas, the quotes separating everything out, the lowercase b, and then the period quote at the end of the sentence. Again, inside of the quote, punctuation, then quotations. Rule 3, the first word of a complete sentence or thought written in the form of a quotation is always capitalized. So examples would look like this: the boy said, comma, quote, what time is lunch? Question mark, quote. That's a complete thought, so the capital W at the beginning. Quote, several inches of snow fell last week, shouted the lady. Several, again, is capitalized at the beginning of the quote in the second example because it's a complete thought again. So we'll take a look at a practice section now, and as you can see, the directions say read each sentence and add quotation marks and other punctuation marks where necessary. So let's take a look at number 1. What is the object? Asked Riley. So we need to have quotes at the beginning of that sentence. We'll place our quotes outside of the W. And then it's, what is that object? Asked Riley. So it is a question, and we can put a question mark here to punctuate that one. So place the question mark and then the quote to close out that quote. And then asked Riley with a period at the end of that sentence. So this one can have the question mark since it's asking a question, again, inside of the quote. Number 2, Kelsey replied, maybe it's a tool. So it'd be Kelsey replied, comma, quotes this time. Maybe it's a tool, period, quote. That was just a regular statement for number 2. Number 3, it looks like a toy to me, he said. So again, quotes at the beginning. It looks like a toy to me. This time we're going to place a comma, then the quotes. If it's a statement, it'll be a comma there. He said, period. Okay, so statements like this one would have a comma when they're at the beginning of the sentence, like number 3. Number 4, I can see, Riley added, that it has 2 wings. That's a broken quote this time, so we have a quote before I can see Riley, comma, quote, added. I'm sorry, we've got to fix that for one moment. It should be I can see, comma, quote, Riley added, comma. So the person, we wouldn't put the quotes around the person that's saying that, comma, quote, now that it has 2 wings, period, quote this time. And again, this was a broken quote, so we've got I can see that it has 2 wings as a complete thought. The that on the second part of added, the second part of the quote would stay lowercase since it's not a complete thought here. Okay, it's just a continuation of the beginning part of the quote. Number 5, Kelsey said, let's take a closer look. It would be Kelsey said, comma, quote, let's take another look, take a closer look, period, quote. Okay, number 6, Valerie asked, comma, quote, do you think that machine could fly? Question mark, quote at the end. Number 7, the lady exclaimed, what a strange object that is. So the lady exclaimed, comma, quote, what a strange object that is, exclamation mark, quote this time. Okay, number 8, I don't know for sure, replied Emily, quote, I don't know for sure, comma, quote, replied Emily, period. And finally, number 9, sure, she said, it would be a lot of fun. So another broken quote this time, sure, with the quotes around it, comma, inside of the quote again. She said, comma, then quote again, it would be a lot of fun, period, quote. And again, we can see the it with the lowercase I, since it's the continuation of the first part of the quote, sure, it would be a lot of fun. So hopefully this review is helpful to everyone in reviewing the concepts with quotation marks that we've been studying in language arts.